Hello and welcome to 10 Lessons Learned, the podcast where we talk to leaders, experts and extraordinary people from all over the world to uncover the lessons that shape their careers, businesses and lives. Our goal is simple, to make the world a little wiser, one lesson at a time. My name is Robert Hossary and I'm thrilled to be your host for this episode. Just a little about me. I have been in corporate life. I've been a senior executive for over 45 years. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a son, and I do a lot of charity work because I believe that we need to be kind to each other. But before we dive in, a quick message for our listeners of 10 Lessons Learned. 10 lessons will always be free to listen to, but it's not free to make. If you found value in our episodes, please consider supporting the program. Whether it's by sharing a show with a friend, leaving a review, or checking out our affiliate partner Audible. Every little bit helps us continue bringing you the lessons that matter the most. Speaking of Audible, they're a fantastic way to enjoy 10 Lessons Learned alongside thousands of audiobooks and other inspiring podcasts. Whether you're on the go or just unwinding at home, Audible makes it easy to build a library of wisdom. You can try it free for 30 days. Just go to audibletrial.com/10lessonslearned. That's audibletrial.com/10lessonslearned. The link will be in the show notes, so check it out and start listening today. Now it's time to meet our wonderful guest. Today's guest is Julie Conliffe. Julie Conliffe is a 5-time best-selling author, a global speaker, a reputation reinvention strategist, and I will let her explain that to you. Welcome to the show, Julie. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, please.
Robert, thank you so very much for having me. It's such an honor and a blessing to be here today. So a bit about myself. I am a former solicitor, so I'm currently not practicing. So I came from courtroom to my calling. What is my calling? My calling is making a difference in people's lives. My calling is being a voice of the voiceless, an advocate for those people that have been sidelined, silenced, or just gone through a very, very difficult time, because I went through some difficult situations in my life, Robert, that I'm hoping we'll be able to discuss today. So I want to be the person that I needed when I was going through those difficult times. So that's what I choose to be today. That's how I choose to position myself as the voice of hope.
You touched on that. I know it's not one of your lessons, but we've seen the memes. We've heard this, be the person that you wish was there for you. And you've done that. You've done that. Look, before we jump into your lessons, and to the audience, we have a wonderful treat for you today. We have 11 lessons, not just 10. Julie's given us an extra one. We have 11. But before we jump into those lessons, let me ask you something we ask all our guests. What would you have told your 20-year-old self if you had the chance?
20-year-old self, if I had the chance, I would have said, Julie, don't try to be somebody. Don't try to be, because all of us want to be somebody. I want to be this somebody. I would have just said to myself, be you, be true. Everybody else is taken. So be yourself.
Well, that is wonderful. And it's probably something I would have wanted to tell myself too. It's amazing. It's amazing how we all want to be something. And it's worse today, I believe, because we're filled with false images of ourselves. And life isn't as perfect as you see on Instagram, people. Life isn't all that wonderful all the time. Life is a blessing. Life's fantastic. But, with the sunlight comes the sunset. You've got darkness, you've got light. You have to live in both. So that's a great way to start, Julie. That is fantastic. Well, let's get on to your 11 lessons. So let's go with, and to our audience as well, you're going to get a letter before each lesson. Now, I'm not going to put it together for you until the end, but you jot it down, you listen, and you try and work out what the anagram is. So lesson number 1, you understand your pain. Julie, tell us about that.
Sure. I think understanding your pain is very, very important, Robert, because we all go through pain at one point or the other in our lives. And sometimes when we go through pain, we may try to numb that pain. We may try to hide away from that pain. But I think it's important for us to reach a point of acceptance, acknowledging that I am going through a very, very painful situation right now, but realizing that your pain has got a meaning. So it's really being able to sit with your pain, to understand the lesson that you need to learn from that particular lesson. So it's realizing that your place of pain is your portal of purpose. As long as you sit long enough in that pain, question that pain hard enough, why are you here? What is this trying to teach me? What is this trying to show me? Rather than focusing on why me? Why am I going through this? It could have been anybody else. Why me? No, it's like, what now? What do I do? What are you trying to show me? So it's just really that understanding. And we can only understand it when we become real with the pain and when we sit with the pain and get to understand it, because there is purpose to your pain.
That's incredibly deep, Julie.
Mm.
And a lot of people won't understand what you just said, because to a lot of people, pain is pain.
Yeah.
There's no purpose to pain, but that's where they're wrong. That's where your lesson is very powerful. There is a purpose to pain. There is a purpose to what has happened to you. And what you're saying, if I'm understanding correctly, is you need to figure that purpose out, because that's the lesson in that pain. And once you figure it out, are you suggesting that the pain lessens?
Not at all. It doesn't necessarily lessen. So figuring it out and lessening the pain are two different things. My message
Okay.
is just understand your pain. Just understand it, because it's there already. So you're not going to wish it away. Healing is a process. So we can talk about healing separately, but you can't heal from that which you don't acknowledge. So one, you have to acknowledge that the pain is there. So the wound is there. So putting just a Band-Aid on it does not mean it's gone away. So sometimes it's ripping the Band-Aid off, allowing the air to go through, sitting with it, seeing the pain, acknowledging it, going through it, and understanding it. And you may not understand it straight away, Robert. Some of these things, you understand them a lot later. For example, with me, when I write in my book about understanding your pain, I talk about my story. I talk about the poverty that I grew up in. I talk about the fact that my father died when I was only 10 months old. I talk about the fact that we were evicted when we were little. My mother was kicked out of the village house that she had for no apparent reason immediately after my father had died. I talk about the fact that we struggled so much. We had absolutely nothing. Then we got another house where we didn't have the legal paperwork, the documentation done properly. Pain, again, has got a tendency of repeating itself. We were evicted from that home. That was a painful exercise. But where is my strength today? Those were the evictions. That was the pain. And the pain was property related all the time. Right now, my focus is property. I've been a property solicitor for nearly 20 years. Successful, award-winning property solicitor. I have got a property portfolio worth over £1 million. Why? Through property. But property was my pain. It was that portal to my purpose. Did I understand it at the time? No, I didn't. I did not. So there is purpose to your pain. So when I talk about pain and purpose, it's sitting with it. I don't care how long it takes or how long after the event. But Robert, there is purpose to your pain. And we need to find that purpose, because some of us just go through the pain with nothing to show for it in the end. Nothing at all, So we all go through pain. You're either going through a painful situation, you're about to go into a painful situation, or you just got out of one painful situation. But what are you doing with your pain? Are you wasting your pain? Don't do that.
What a great example. What a great example. Because I was about to ask you, do you have an example? And you gave it to us. listeners, if you still don't understand, my advice, as always, is rewind, listen to it all again, because this is really important. What Julie has just said is really, really important. Once you understand it, you can overcome it. I love that. I think it's great. All right, let's move on to lesson number 2. Now, we had a U. This is an N. Never give up on your destiny. Julie, never give up on your destiny. Obviously, you didn't. Did you realize that was your destiny?
At the time, no, I didn't. But after we were kicked out and I could see the pain in my mother's eyes, she was such a strong woman, God rest her soul. So she was not the kind of woman to cry. She was not the kind of woman to wear her pain like a badge. She wasn't like that. But from time to time, you would see deep in her eyes the hurt, the pain, and all the other things that she was going through. So we didn't have a television at home, and I used to watch Ali McBeal, that TV show, from a neighbor's window.
Yeah.
And then I thought to myself, wow, this woman is doing amazing battles, doing amazing things in court. I can be that person. I can help, my family fight this battle in future if ever we're kicked out again, homeless and all the rest of it, eviction. What can I do? So at a very, very young age, I had that dream to fight, that dream to speak for other people, that dream to represent people. And for me, then I took the path of being a solicitor. So we didn't have enough money and I couldn't qualify for university in my country because we only had one university in the whole country at the time. So my family clubbed together and then borrowed money. They gave me £500 to come to Great Britain to start my legal career. That was my dream. So if you will, perhaps that was my destiny, and that's it. So when I came to Great Britain, I struggled a lot because I didn't know anyone. There was a time when I used to sleep in the payphone booth, homeless, and loads of horrific things happened to me at the time. But what I learned that particular night in the payphone booth, shivering in the dark with no hope, no idea where I was going to go to, I learned that you never, ever give up on your destiny. You don't. Even if you have to go through loads of setbacks, stumbling stones, roadblocks, redirections, whatever it is you go through, just don't give up because the sun will shine again. Even in the dark of the night, I knew that the sun will shine again the next day. So my message really, Robert, is just a message of hope. And that's the reason why I tell all these stories in my book as that roadmap. I tell the stories to give hope because I know that we're all going through difficult things. So there might be somebody today who's trying to start a business and they're just faced with a big, big challenge. I want them never to give up on their dream, never to give up on their destiny. It might be a little girl like me who also is trying to go to university and they're struggling, to get there. But it's just never give up on your destiny, no matter how treacherous the path becomes. Just don't give up.
I couldn't agree more. I'm not going to share the dream I gave up on, but I will say that my life would be totally different had I pursued it, had I had the tenacity that you have discussed just now and stuck to my dreams, stuck to the idea that I had. But I gave up because of those roadblocks, because it was too difficult, because we live in a privileged world and it's easy for the privileged to give up. It's harder for those that are not as privileged to give up because that is the North Star for them. That is the goal. But for those of us who have everything, we give up too easily. And I did. So I hear you. I don't regret it because what's the point of regret? As you said, the sun comes up again tomorrow, everything's fine.
Yeah.
But I hear you. And if you love what you do, if you love where that destiny is, where the future that you have pictured, if you want to be there, you cannot give up. All right, let's go to lesson number 3. B, betrayal and becoming. Okay, this is very cryptic for me. So what are you talking about with betrayal and becoming?
Yeah. I'm talking about the fact that in becoming whoever it is you're destined to become, or whoever it is you desire to become, be ready for betrayal. Because sometimes it's the people that you care about the most that are going to betray you. It's the people in business that you trust the most that are going to betray you. It's the people that you call your friends that are going to sell you out. We all are going to be faced with a Judas at some point in our lives. We are all going to bump into a sellout. And that's just the way it actually is. The example I give in my book is just how my marriage fell apart before it even started, how my partner didn't turn up to the wedding because of betrayal by a best friend. And that was heartbreaking, heartbreaking. And this is a person that I trusted, a person who I shared, my secrets with. And you think it's safe. But nowadays, I barely have any secrets. If I've got a secret, I keep it to myself. That's just the way that it is. Because how can you trust people? Those people don't even trust themselves. And most of the time, we put our trust in other people. But we're not talking about trust. We're talking about betrayal. So betrayal is real. And that's the long and short of it. Beware of it and be ready.
For those of you watching this on YouTube, because our audio audience wouldn't have seen me, I've got this huge shit-eating grin on my face simply because I just pictured this. This has happened to me in my corporate life so often. And by so often, I'm talking, probably every 6-8 months. You get betrayed because you trust people. And as Julie said, it's not about trust, but it is, in a sense. You trust people, and people have their own interest at heart. So before I keep going on, Julie, do you have a way to overcome that betrayal and become the person that you should be?
Like I said to you, Robert, I don't really tell people my secrets. I keep things to myself. That's one thing. So if matters are very precious to me, I don't share them with people. I just keep them between me, myself, and I, between God and I. And also before I make huge career moves, I don't disclose them to other people. In terms of my business things, I don't disclose them to people until after it's happened. Because at the moment, I think there's a lot of scenarios where we are disclosing more than we need to. And we're doing that from a vulnerability perspective because we think that's vulnerability. We're doing that from an authenticity point of view because we think being authentic is washing your dirty linen in public. We think that it's sharing things that you don't necessarily need to sell or to share. We think it's, telling people your plans. Because I think in telling people all the things that you are trying to do, that's where you risk, betrayal. Because at the end of the day, betrayal by its very nature is you've disclosed a piece of information, you've disclosed something to somebody, and then they have betrayed you. They have utilized that information in a manner in which they were not supposed to. So I think the solution to that is don't say it.
Yep. No, I think that's very sound logic, and I love that. And I wish in many times in my career that I'd followed that advice and I didn't say anything. But the reality is that we're human. We make
We
this
are.
mistake. I mean, it takes a long time to learn these lessons. Even at my age, there are still lessons I haven't learned. That's not one of them because I've been betrayed so many times. I deal with it differently. But in essence, I just don't tell people things, just like you suggested.
Really?
It's something that I would advise all of our listeners and viewers to really listen to, learn this skill. Because as Julie said, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter how much you think someone's got your back.
Mm.
They may inadvertently betray you, and that also happens.
Yes.
So be aware. Just be aware. All right.
So
That
true.
was pretty deep. Let's see how much deeper we can go. Let's
Thank
go to
you.
lesson number 4. R. Reservoir of resilience. This is sounding interesting to me. What are you talking about here?
Yeah, I think when we think about resilience, we think about external, like I'm going to be tough, I'm going to be super strong, I'm going to be, yes, we can be all that, but I think it's just revisiting the real raw definition and realizing that we've got a well inside of us. Everything that we need to be able to face that which we need to face from a resilience perspective, it's from a well that's inside of us. We've already got it. It's not something that we need to go shopping for. It's not something that we need to go and find. It's not something that we need to go on a 5-day training course for. It's not that. The training program that you need is to know that you've got a well inside of you. You've got a reservoir of resilience. It's a tap that's inside of you. You just need to open it. You need to learn how to open it. So if you're going to go for training, go for that training. But before you do, just know that the reservoir of resilience is already inside of you. So what you're going to learn is to, how do I open that tap? How do I access it? How do I tap into that tap, as it were?
Mm.
But you've got it inside of you. So you've got all things pertaining to life and to godliness. And resilience is something that you've got it. You've got it. It's inside of you.
It is, and a lot of people don't realize that. But it's a good lesson to learn. And for those of you who think your reservoir is empty, may I suggest that there is one way you can fill it very quickly, and that's developing an attitude of gratitude.
Oh,
The more
love that.
grateful you are, the more resilient you become. You fill that reservoir because you are grateful. You are open to a lot of things, and these all go together. I agree with you, Julie. A reservoir of resilience is within everybody. We are all resilient. Just as you said, some of us don't realize it. But wake up, think about it, and you'll find it. That's wonderful. I like that one very much. I love these lessons, Julie. I love these lessons.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Rob.
let's go to lesson number 5. E, emerging from the shadows. Okay, I'm into a lot of different styles. Emerging from the shadows sounds like something that I'd find in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but what is emerging from the shadows?
Oh my goodness. Emerging from the shadows speaks to going into hiding. At one point, I really wanted to be super visible, because we all know that visibility is important, to our personal brands, our businesses, and loads of different things. But there was a time when I wanted to be invisible, Robert. My name was plastered in the newspapers, gazettes, social media, for all the wrong reasons. I just really was going through a very difficult time. I had faced a cancellation on social media. I'd faced a public smear campaign against me, and I had every reason to hide. I just didn't want to be seen by anybody. I did not want to see anyone. I was just in a very, very dark, dark place. And I thought that hiding or staying in that dark place was really the solution, and that all these things would go away. So I learned that my healing wasn't necessarily in hiding. I had to start emerging from the shadows little by little, step by step, at my own pace. So I write about that in a bit more detail in the book, just to encourage somebody who has been attacked on social media, somebody who has just had their reputation damaged in the workplace, in business, wherever, somebody who's just gone through a divorce and they don't even know their identity anymore, somebody who's been hiding away from life because life has caused you to consider that as the best option. It's just giving them hope that you can emerge from the shadows. You can emerge from the shadows, but step by step. Healing is not in hiding, but in your own time, you can rise again because you are unbreakable.
I see where you're going with that, and I agree. You said something that struck a chord in me about identity, and I know that I'm actually very sure that some women go through this, but many men, especially men my age and older, would identify. Their identity is what work they do, their job. And so therefore, when they lose that job, when they retire or whatever, they lose their identity. And it's not true. So emerging from the shadow in that sense is just getting over it. Like, come on out, be in the real world, deal with what's going on for that cohort that I'm talking about, not for the other scenarios that you laid out.
Okay.
But it really is important, I think, to do exactly what you said. It's not being afraid of just being true to who you are. Or have I got it wrong?
You've got it perfectly right. I couldn't agree with you more at all, Robert, because you hit the nail on the head in that for me, it was exactly the same. I know you used a different cohort. I know you referred to men, but as a woman, I lost my identity too. I already told you my story of my dream to be a solicitor. I already told you what my whole tribe did for me to be able to come to Great Britain to be a solicitor. I already shared with you the experience where I struggled to get to where I could become a solicitor. And then overnight, that's taken away.
Yes.
I'm no longer a solicitor. How do you handle that? That's been my identity since I was little. My mom would affectionately call me Gotwe in my language, which means lawyer, even when we didn't have any money at all to take me to university. But that's who I grew up being called, solicitor, lawyer. That's who I grew up forging to become a solicitor. I became a solicitor. I became a super successful solicitor. And that rug was just literally from under my feet. How do I identify as? It was so funny because literally just a few weeks ago or a little while ago, someone said to me, introduce yourself. I was like, how do I do that? Because I'm just used to I'm Julie, I'm a solicitor, I'm this. That's been my identity, Robert. So what do you do? How do you emerge from the shadows? How do you come back from that? That's why
Well,
I
you've
help.
obviously done it very well.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. But that's why I'm trying to help other people reinvent, So when you asked earlier and when you said we'll talk about it, I think this is the best place to talk about it. Because how or why do I help people reinvent themselves? I'm not saying, become a different version. I'm just saying, who are you at the core? Who were you before they called you all these names? Who were you before that title, director, solicitor, accountant, whatever you were before that? Who was that? Let's dive deep. Let's get to the core and let's, find out who you were and let's bring out that version of yourself. So thank you for saying I've done it really well. But Robert, it has not been an easy journey. That is the truth.
No, but it never is, Julie. It never is. And the beauty is you've got the same passion that the 10 Lessons crew has. You want to make it better for other people. So you're sharing your lessons with the world to say, you don't have to go through this. And I couldn't be more grateful to have you on the show. I couldn't be more grateful to have someone like you inspiring, the people that you inspire to be better, because that's what we need today. That's really what we need. So from me to you personally, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right.
Thanks.
This is a topic I'd love to talk about forever, but I'm very conscious of time. Okay. Lesson number 6.
Right.
A, arising from adversity. Talk to me about that.
Rising from adversity is a painful chapter in my book because I talk about the death of my mom. And my mom was literally my best friend. And her death literally took a part of me that is irreplaceable. So I didn't actually think I'd be able to get over that. So I share the story about the adversity. And then I also share the lessons that I had to learn in arising from that adversity, because we are all going to go through loss at one point or the other, but we don't have to stay there. We have to move because life goes on, regardless of the loss. So it's just learning to deal with your loss. How do you arise from adversity? How do you move on from life as it was, before? So yes, I think that's the long and short of it. That's what I share about arising from adversity. It's a painful chapter. I wrote it with tears, and even when I speak about it, I still become emotional. And my mom died a little while ago, but yeah, it's still there.
But emerging from the shadows will help you to arise from that adversity. They're two lessons that go hand in hand, I think.
Agreed. 100%. They do go hand in hand. But when it's something, yeah, I think the difference really is losing a career, losing a title, losing a job is a different kind of pain from losing your loved one. So both are adversity, and yes, you can emerge from the shadows. I accept that. But I think there's a certain kind of loss that doesn't just challenge you, it changes you. And I think when it comes to adversity, arising from adversity, it wasn't just a challenge, it was a change. It was life before mum and life after.
All right. I hear you. Again, there's a lot we can say, but the lesson is clear. Let's move on to lesson number 7. Hey, kindled in the fire. So just having spoken to you for a little while now, I can see that you were forged in that fire.
Yes, absolutely. And I think you've just explained it. I don't even need to get into a lot of detail, because I think all the examples that I've given you will be able to show you that I am the beacon of resilience, because I was forged in the fire, literally fried in that fire. That has been the story of my life. But I think it's just realizing that in that burning fire, it's the things that are not needed that will stay in the fire. It's a purifying process. And as painful as it might be, yes, it leaves the best in you. It gets rid of all the things that needed to die, all the parts of you that needed to burn. And there are going to be some parts that you didn't actually realize needed to burn. They needed to die in that fire. And by the time you come out, you are refined. You are a better version of yourself, because you've been kindled in that fire. You've been forged through fire. So fire might be terrible, but it is part of the solution. The obstacle is the way, and this part is the fire. That's part of the purifying process, the fiery furnace.
Look, I have not had the traumatic experience that you've had, all the trauma. I have experienced my own issues in my life. I have been let go of several jobs. I've been made redundant. And these are senior executive CEO positions. So I understand what you're saying. And then having to take several steps back and take a position that's not as high, it's not the fire you're talking about, but it does humble you. And it does teach you what parts of you don't need. So while I did not have the trauma at the time, it felt like the end of the world. But it taught me what you've just said. It taught me the parts of myself that I no longer needed. I didn't need to be that. I needed to be something better. and they got burnt away. So I fully understand your lesson. I'm sure our audience also understands that. And as I keep saying to you people, if you still don't get it, rewind, listen to Julie again. So K, Kindled by Fire. Let's go to 8. Lesson number 8. A kaleidoscope of challenges. Now, life is full of challenges, and the kaleidoscope is something that would make that challenge a little harder, I would think.
Yes, it would. It actually would. And it's just reminding people that we all go through different kinds of challenges at different points in our lives, don't we, Robert? And as we go through those, you think, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. And sometimes it's just loads of them, little bits here, little bits there at the time. And it's just learning how to navigate all of those and remain sane. So that's what I discuss in relation to that particular one. And I also talk about knowing when to hold on and knowing when to let go, knowing when to close the door, open it, because sometimes it's very, very difficult to let go. And the pain of letting go can be really debilitating. But sometimes what we do not realize, Robert, is by holding on, we're causing ourselves a lot more damage than just letting go. So what do you do and how do you get the balance right? Do you let go when it's hurting you? Do you keep pushing? Because I've got a tendency to hold on for too long. I do. And that's something that I have been really learning to let go. Because I say to myself, I am going to do this until the wheels come off. I will do whatever needs to be done. That's me. And that's how I've always been. But it's sometimes just knowing that, Julie, no, you don't have to do that. It's okay for you to let go in this moment because you can see that it's a train crash. But you're going to keep believing that, no, it's going to be okay. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Yeah, there's a place for that. But there's also a place of acceptance, a place of letting go, and knowing that letting go is not a weakness. It can actually be a sign of wisdom, a sign of strength.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And too many people don't see that. And I see this counterbalancing with never giving up on your destiny. You've got to know when to let go and you've got to know when not to let go. And that's the important balance there. So definitely knowing when to let go is crucially important, not only for your well-being, but for your mental health and for your ability to achieve your destiny and your ability to be successful. You can't keep following the wrong path and doubling down just because you made a mistake and you don't want to admit you're wrong.
Yes.
And I think that's where it all falls down. I'm not going to admit I'm wrong, so I'm going to continue down this path to ruin. And that's what happens. And I don't want to be political, but we're seeing a lot of that in one of the bigger countries at the moment. People are just doubling down on their decision. Well, good luck to them. But you know what? It's time to just cut and move on.
So
I
true.
love that lesson. I love that lesson because the kaleidoscope is exactly what we see. We have all of these choices. We have all of these directions and we get confused. So we stick to what we know as opposed to taking a step back, taking a deep breath and looking at where our destiny is telling us to go. Beautiful lesson, Julie. Beautiful lesson.
Thank you.
All right. Lesson number 9. B. Bend, but do not break.
Yes.
You haven't broken, I can tell. But
I'm
you bent quite a bit, though.
I am unbreakable, Robert.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I call myself unbreakable, but I have reached breaking points in my own life. I've gotten to point where I thought, okay, God, if you don't intervene right now, I am done. I am done out here. So we all go through storms in life that would bend us, winds of life that would bend us, things that could potentially break us. But it's just having that flexibility where you bend but do not break. Know that the storms of life are going to come, and they will. The winds of life will come, and they will. But like a bamboo tree, bend if you must, but do not break. So that really is my message, to say whatever happens to you, bend if you must, but just don't break. Because you've got something inside of you. We go back to the reservoir of resilience. We were talking about that from a resilience perspective. But I also want people to know that they have got an unbreakable spirit. It is something that you are just innately born with. You've got it, but you've got to tap into it. That's what being unbreakable is all about. It is that. It's realizing that, yes, you'll reach a breaking point. Yes, there'll be some cracks here and there. But like that Japanese, is it kintsugi theory, where a pottery piece, it cracks, and then they don't throw it away. They take it and they rebuild it using parts of gold. So you'll see that the whole thing that could have been broken or cracked and thrown away, it's done up. And it looks so beautiful because in all the cracks, you find pieces of gold in there, which is what my logo actually symbolizes. So bend if you must, but do not break. Those cracks, whatever it is, reaching breaking point, just let the gold seep through into all of those cracks in your life, because you, my love, are unbreakable. I love that one.
It's a wonderful lesson. And I was going to ask you for an anecdote, a personal anecdote, but you are a walking anecdote of being unbreakable with everything that has happened to you,
Thank you.
with all of the things that have gone on in your life. You have bent, but you have never broken. Your charm, your enthusiasm, your vibrancy comes through, and it's wonderful. I was going to interrupt and say, only dry branches break. So don't
Whoa.
forget you've got that reservoir in you, but you
Wow.
beat me to it.
I love that. No, I really love that, Robert. Only
That's
dry.
yours. You can have it.
Thank you. I'm going to take that. I received that. Oh my God. I love that a lot. Oh, wow. I never thought about that. Only dry
Well,
branch. Right.
it's true. And your
Yeah.
reservoir, it
Yeah.
fills you.
It
So
does.
again, putting them together, when your reservoir is empty, when you have given up, you're dry.
You are.
You have nothing. You
Wow.
don't, because you don't have enough to give. When your reservoir is full, you've got plenty to give. So you're
Very true.
always giving.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I love that, Robert. I really do. And if we could circle back to, remember the bit that we talked about, the furnace and burning.
Hmm.
And when we said that there are parts of us that needed to burn, that needed to stay there, it's a bit like that, isn't it? That even
Yep.
the branches, it's the dry ones that needed to
It's a
break it
dry one.
anyway. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh wow,
Yep.
I love that.
Because
Thank you.
they would have broken. They wouldn't bend. Okay. All right. Well, I think that's a great lesson. Bend, but do not break. Lesson number 10. And don't forget, people, we have one more after this. So I'm sure you've guessed the word, but anyway, lesson number 10. L. Labyrinth of life. What do you mean by labyrinth of life?
Yeah, I just mean that life is a bit like a maze. That's it. It's a labyrinth. It's a maze. We go through loads of different things. You go through one challenge and you think, for you, that's it. But you don't realize that by graduating from that challenge, you've just qualified for a more challenging challenge that's on its way. So it's a whole maze. It's a whole maze. So it's important to realize that and just find your way step by step, knowing that every time you overcome something, sit with it, take time, pat yourself on the back, celebrate it, and be ready for the next.
Absolutely. Celebrate those wins, every win. You've got to take it easy. You've got to understand that you weren't born with an instruction manual. Life is what it is.
Yeah.
And there is such thing as time travel. And it only goes in one direction. That's forward 1 second at a time. So don't what if yourself. Don't I shoulda, because you'll shoulda all over yourself. Take it easy. Understand that life is what it is. And it is a labyrinth. You might turn down the wrong side and find yourself at a dead end. Guess what? Turn around, walk back out, find another path. You can't continue going on paths that lead nowhere and then just sit at the end of a dead end and say, oh, well, that's life. It's not life. And Julie makes it very, very clear. Life is a labyrinth. The sun will rise tomorrow. It will set the day after. Fill your life with purpose. And I think all your lessons together are saying that in one way or another, Julie.
Yes.
Fill your life with purpose. All right. Lesson number 11. Final letter. E. Have you figured out the word yet? Embrace the end. Now that sounds a little grim, Julie. I know I'm old, but I don't know if I want to embrace the end just yet. What do you mean by embrace the end?
Well, here's the thing, Robert. I am almost allergic to death. I do not want to die. I want to live forever. So I don't want to embrace death, as it were. But I suppose I'll get to it whenever I'm ready. So when I talk about embracing the end, I talk about embracing the end of situations, scenarios, circumstances. I'll use myself as an example. When my legal career came to an end, I thought that was the end of me. So I had to separate the end of a career, the end of a title, the end of a relationship through divorce, the end of whatever it is from who I am. So it's the end of a situation, the end of a scenario. Embrace that, but you're not ending, as it were. So it's embracing the end of that. So, like I said, the end of my career was just like, oh my God, this is it. I'm done. I am so done. Who am I now? What's the point in living? And sometimes when these things happen, we think that it's, like I said, it's the end of us. But I want people to realize, because sometimes people become suicidal, And there was a time when I thought my life wasn't really worth living. But I want us to be able to separate the end of that occurrence, the end of whatever it is, from you. We are separate. So it's getting to embrace the end of that and realizing that for you, things will carry on. So that's it. So it's segregating those things and also realizing that most of the time, if not all the time, the end of something is the beginning of something way much more better. It's the birth of something else. So the end of my courtroom career, where I was fighting battles in the courtroom, was the beginning of my calling to empower people, my calling to speak to people, my calling to represent people, not in a courtroom setting, but where they need representation day to day in their lives. But something had to end, and I needed to embrace the end of that to give birth to this beautiful new life that I have now.
I think that is probably the most important lesson that I have had on 10 lessons.
Makes me want to cry. Thank you. That means a lot.
If we think about it, none of us want anything to end. But what I've learned and what you have just perfectly articulated is things will end. And as I've said before on this podcast, the sun will set, but it will rise tomorrow. It's not going to be the same day as today. It'll be a different day, but it will rise again. it took me a long time to understand what you just said, Julie, that things end. I was the head of the American Chamber of Commerce in Australia. I
Wow.
was riding high. I was, a big man on campus, so to speak, until I wasn't. And then I didn't know what to do. And I took many steps backwards. And it landed me in a pretty junior role in a disability enterprise. Now, I know this story's not about me, but it
Well, it's
will put a
important.
point. It'll put a point onto your lesson. In that role. And mind you, just for context, I took that role because I was finishing my MBA. So I thought I'll just get some spending money while I'm studying. So I was finishing my MBA. I got in this junior role, and all of a sudden I became one of the senior management there because of my capabilities. But that's not the story. The story is I'm in this junior role in this disability enterprise, and I learned so much about myself. I learned that I had this unconscious bias against people with disabilities. I didn't know that until I was there.
Right.
Not because they've got disabilities, because I didn't know how to speak to them. I didn't know how to react and be around them. That was a branch that was dry,
Wow.
that didn't bend. And so what happened? It
Broke.
got burnt off. You got it. I'm still in disability now. I love working in disability. And I am still in senior roles there, but it's never about me. It's about the community I serve. And I'm a servant there. So a lot of the things in my corporate career came to an end because of whatever circumstances. But a whole new me evolved in this new area. And this is exactly what you're talking about. So do I mourn the fact that I'm no longer in these big circles and going to these events and these functions and these cocktails? Absolutely not. Because they came to an end, just like you said, and I embraced it. So yeah, I hear that. That is again a powerful message. Embrace the end, people.
Yeah.
Understand what's happening and embrace it. All right, that's wonderful. So let's just recap for those playing along at home. Lessons 1 through to 11. Unbreakable. You got the word yet? Julie, help us out.
The word is unbreakable, based on my book, which is called Unbreakable, because you, my love, you are unbreakable.
That's really powerful. We'll talk about your book in a minute, but before we do, tell me, Julie, with all of these lessons that have not broken you, what lessons or what have you had to unlearn? Something that you thought was the way it should be, and then you realized, no, this is wrong. I've got to change my approach to this.
Sure. I had to unlearn the notion that I had to have people on my side, that I had to please people. I had to unlearn that the hard way, because the people that I thought were with me, the people that were singing Hosanna in the highest, Julie is amazing, when it came to it, were the same people that said, crucify her, crucify her. So now I stand on my own. I don't do anything for applause. I do things because it is right for me to do. So I don't people please anymore. I do what I'm called to do. And that's just that.
Isn't that a great, I mean, look, it's a tragic lesson to have to learn, but it's a powerful lesson to learn, unlearn, I mean. It's something that will help guide you through the rest of your life, your career and everything else. All right.
Mhm.
So tell us all, Julie, where do we find you? What are you doing now? Talk to me about your book. Where can we get it?
Sure. Yeah. No, thank you so much. So what's happening at the moment is I am speaking. So I'm going on as many stages as I can. Corporate. So if anybody wants to book me for a speaking engagement, I would be more than delighted to share the Unbreakable roadmap lessons, which you and I have just discussed. And on the back of that, I've actually got a program called Arise, which is a 5-step formula from Unbreakable. People can find me on my website, which is julieconliffe.co.uk or julieconliffe.com. All sites lead to the same, but it's just really my name. The book is available on Amazon and is also available on my website. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. Busy changing lives, busy giving hope, which is what I love to do.
That's fantastic. All those links will also be in the show notes. So just have a look at the show notes for this show, whether it's YouTube or audio, and you will see those links to the books and to Julie's site. And I couldn't recommend it more highly. Julie, is there anything else you would like to leave with our audience today?
Thank you for them listening to me and for this opportunity. And I just want them to know that bend if you must, but do not break, because you are unbreakable. That's it. Thank you.
That's all for today's episode of 10 Lessons Learned, and a big thank you to our guest Julie Conliffe for sharing her incredible insights and lessons with all of us. Thanks as well to our amazing team, Cody Kamo, who is our episode editor, Yi Wang, who manages our marketing and social media, and this podcast is supported, as always, by the Professional Development Forum and listeners like you. We'd love to hear what you have to say about today's lesson. Leave a comment or drop us a line at podcast@10lessonslearned.com. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to leave us a review, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notification so you never miss a lesson that could change your life. Thanks for tuning into 10 Lessons Learned, where we're making the world wiser, one lesson at a time. Thank you. Bye-bye.